Welcome back to Stick to Fitness, brought to you by myself and my co-host Archie. And today's topic of discussion is bodybuilding with a full-time job. By bodybuilding, we're not just talking about, just building some kind of muscle. We're talking about people with a very serious physique goals, and it doesn't have to just be, competitive bodybuilding. So a lot of bodybuilders are online PTs or personal trainers, and I feel like it's a little bit like selling drugs. So you just kind of sell it so that you can take more for yourself. So the job is kind of funding the addiction, right? Is that because working a full-time job isn't conducive of bodybuilding? I say full-time job, but online personal training can be.
Yeah, of course. No, definitely. I don't think, when I talk about full-time job, obviously most people do work full-time. I just mean more so where you have to
physically be there.
Yeah, be somewhere for
an actual job.
No, what you do is an actual job.
I know, I was just joking.
An actual job.
But I think...
doesn't take anything away from people that built up like a serious business.
Do people see it as an actual job?
What, online coaching?
Yeah. Like what people... I don't know. I feel like people might just
I guess
see
it's
it
hard
as a
to
little bit
explain
of
to
like a
people that aren't familiar with what an online coach is already. So I guess if you got picked up in a taxi and someone said to you, what do you do? Like, just the driver said to you, all right, mate, like, what's happening? What do you do for a job? And you said, oh, I'm an online coach. I don't think they would know what that is.
No, they wouldn't. I think a lot of people will see personal training as a job, like physical personal training, like one-to-one. But I think the way people treat online personal training is like, people do, I don't necessarily think they take it seriously.
No, I don't think, unless you're in, I guess, that environment, I don't think people do take it seriously.
Yeah, it's very strange, right? Anyway, that's by the by. But how do you feel like? Because I feel like you do like a proper job, right? I say proper job, but you have to be there. It's not in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
It's not funding the addiction.
No, it's not.
And how? What do you feel? Do you feel like it's easier? Is it more difficult?
I definitely wouldn't say it's easier, but then I don't know how hard it is to do whilst being a full-time online coach either. So I wouldn't really have anything to compare it to. But I guess from speaking to people, I would say like it's harder. Like, I don't know, you're a full-time online coach. Do you think it would be harder for you to achieve your fitness goals if you weren't an online coach?
I think online, like what I think we've got to break it down into separate, because I'm doing online coaching, but I'm also an online business owner.
Yeah. And I think that's where people get mixed up.
Because although I don't see myself, necessarily as a business owner, I do a lot of shit like marketing, Instagram posts, I edit this podcast. There's a lot of work that comes in that
it's not just...
Yeah, you have to do your accounts, there's a lot of stuff. So I think it's different if you were, let's say if you were doing online coaching, you're working for somebody. You didn't have to do the marketing, you didn't have to do social media. Your job was solely just to coach people online, and that was all you did. I think it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's where it gets a little bit difficult. I just think when you have to be somewhere at set certain times, and there's that less flexibility, I would argue that that's where it becomes a bit more difficult, because there's so many variables in your day that could impact, like your training, for example. I mean, there's been numerous times where I've had long day, not a good day, but you have to train at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, because you don't have another choice.
There's no other choice. There's no choice. And then trying to get your head around the fact, like, right, I'm here. This is my time now. I need to do this. And I guess people do say, like, yeah, when you get into the gym, it's like, oh yeah, stop thinking about work and this, that, and the other. And like, until you're actually trying to do that, it's a lot easier to say. Like, I know there's been times where I'm in the gym and I have to, there's still phone calls I have to make. There's still phone calls I have to take.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. You can't, like, because
otherwise...
otherwise...
They take phone calls as a teacher.
Pardon?
Didn't they have to take
No, of course, but you still take phone calls, like, from other members of staff.
Oh, really?
There might be times where...
Because you're head of year, right?
Yeah, so it's different responsibilities, I guess, but I guess it's when you're overseeing, like, a large cohort of children and things like that, there's still parents you have to ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely, like, because...
It's changed, man.
But I guess if you don't do it, I mean, I guess this is where I'm not going to, like, say it's impossible, because it definitely is possible, but I guess that's where it then becomes, like, obviously that's my own doing. but it has to be done. Or if you leave it till the next day, then it's like you're still chasing yourself anyway. Like the day starts at 8 o'clock, you know, and you're not leaving till 5:30 or whatever time. And there's so many variables that can happen when you're like, if I was just at home doing work, there's less variables and things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Like even like when it comes down to like prepping food and eating, you know, it's like if I was at home, it'd be so much easier just to make food fresh, this, that, the other. Whereas like on a busy day, you could be on the go from 8:30 till 4:30 and not have a single break. And it's like, what are you going to eat? Oh, I'll just have to, whatever they're serving in the school canteen, which is like not optimal really, is it? And like, when I mean like you don't have time, I mean like you don't have time because you're always in front of people or you're always presenting or you're teaching or like you're on duty. You can't just whack out your food and start eating.
But if you're on lunch, like let's say you're doing lunch duty, you can eat, right?
Yeah, definitely, of course. But
it's like more like maybe a protein shake, protein bar.
Yeah.
It's not like,
yeah, you don't sit down. It's like
rice.
like I know I do canteen duty, so I'm in the canteen anyway.
So you're just nicking other people's meals.
I wish. Trying to organise like a military operation to make sure that like these kids get through in a timely manner, and that becomes more important because you're being paid to do it as well. It's paid duty. You don't. In my school, it's not.
Are you allowed to whip out your phone in school? Let's say if you need to take a picture of like a food.
A picture of food?
No, yeah. Let's say if you want. Let's say.
Yeah.
You were getting coached by somebody and they want you to take a picture of them.
Yeah, you'd be able to do that. Yeah. I mean,
if I think back now, the teachers, right, when I was in school, I never once saw a teacher with a phone.
I think it's changed though because like emails,
right?
Like where you are, you know, you need to reply to things, parents, like all that sort of stuff. And again, not to sound like broken, like sob story sort of thing, but there's a lot of pressure on teachers, especially at the minute.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, you know, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's like, you have to do things to make sure that you get things done, if that makes sense. So even though certain things may be frowned upon, you know, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. I just think dealing with all that and then coming to the point where it's like, oh, now I need to go and get a height to PB on a deadlift. Like, I always have like, my best sessions are always in the school holidays.
Yeah.
Always. I know in the holidays I'm going to PB on something.
Yeah, actually get sleep.
You can sleep more, recover, your nutrition's better, there's less stress. It's just, and I imagine like for a lot of people that have like quote unquote normal job, I imagine it's kind of the same for them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
They don't have summer holidays though.
Who? No, but you can take time off work.
So just like is in their holidays.
Yeah. So when they're off.
I guess it depends how they take them, right? If they take a week at a time, maybe. Yeah. If they're taking a couple of days here, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I guess it's just one of them things, isn't it? Like, that's not knocking anyone that's built like yourself, built a great online business.
Yeah.
Because obviously that takes graft, but I'll just never forget watching a Christian Guzman video.
You love Christian Guzman.
No, but I used to, but that's what...
Guy's been influenced.
Yeah, hard. Not anymore though, because now I'm just like... No, because
What's
I always
happened to him?
No, nothing. But you always get to the point where it's like I now can't watch people. That like, you know, why do I want to watch him train?
Yeah.
Might as well just watch myself because it's better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I've never seen anything from Christian Guzman.
Really?
Never. It's never come across my radar.
But like he was on prep, and I don't know. I can't remember what I was doing at the time. But he was like, oh yeah, you know, so I'm on my way to the gym. This, that, the other, and he started warming up, and he's like. Yeah, so I'm not really feeling it today, so I'm going to go back to my house and have a nap and then come back later. And that killed it for me because it was just like...
You got the luxury to do that.
Yeah, come 6 o'clock.
Read the room.
Yeah. Come 6... If you've got a normal job, when you're... I say normal, it's not...
Yeah.
When you're set to be somewhere for set times, it doesn't matter if you've done 1,000 steps or 20,000 steps, you've had 4 hours sleep, or you've had 10 hours sleep, you have to perform at this time. And your performance will differ based on what's happened in the day. Like I know that's not what people want to hear, but it's fact. Like your performance will differ. You might have a quiet day on a Monday, then the following Monday it'd be hectic. Your performance is going to be different.
For you progressive overload, you have to add 1 kilo.
You have to beat the logbook.
You have to.
But your performance will differ. I hear that, but there's so many variables, bro, that can like affect it. Like down to hydration. Like,
I think people don't talk about it enough. Like everybody who talks about progressions and progressive overload, you have to add this. Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
But
But
Have you
I
done
can't remember
this
who it
job?
was. Listening to someone, I can't remember who, just a couple of years ago, and they were like, sometimes progression is just on that day, the most that you can do.
Mm.
So like, you might not have beaten your logbook for the week before or whatever, but on that particular day, you know, did you go in there and try and do your ultimate, like your best?
Yeah, there's nothing more you can give.
Yeah, you couldn't give anymore. And there's been a lot of points, I say, in my lifting career where it has been like that, where it's like, well, I'm not beating the logbook. Or like, you might just even be like, do you know what? The last thing that I want to do today is pull 6 plates off the floor for like 8 to 10 reps or something. And then you just might even just get, I know it's like that kind of mindset where it's like, people won't like to hear it, but it's like, I just didn't do it because I wasn't going to gain anything from it, because I would be so far off where I should be. But I know that these different things have happened throughout the day to affect it. So,
I mean, that's just smart training, right?
I think it is, but it took me a long time to adapt to that, and it took me a long time to accept that.
It's because you hear what other people say. You have to do it.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, no matter
even on the days that you
whatever
don't
it
want to
takes,
do.
you got to do this. You got to do that.
You don't want it.
Actually, because it's fine for like I said, if you're able to do that, then that's great. But it did honestly. It wasn't until about probably 3-4 years ago where I accepted that I'm not going to be able to beat my lift or progress as much as I would like to every single time I'm in the gym. And when I can, take it 100%, go for it. But on some days, you just might need to focus on volume and getting some high reps in and getting blood flowing in.
That's why I have issues with, like, you know, we've been talking, like, I used to do some like reps and reverb training, right? Testing that out. But a lot of the progressions where it is like on a week by week basis, you reduce the reps in reserve, right? But some weeks you ain't even got that. You haven't got that. And what do you then do with your programming there? You're gonna have to you have to change that. You have to adjust, right? So it's not, although you're maybe the best reps in reserve is to maybe bring it down every single week, there's other considerations that you have to make when it comes to that training as well.
Well, it could be changing anything, isn't it? The reps, the weight, something's going to have to give the exercise.
Because maybe instead of doing a deadlift, you could do like a row or something.
Yeah.
It's less fatiguing, but you could potentially go more
to failure
than say something like that, because it's so fatiguing.
You'd be nearer
other things,
nearer a working weight than and I think that's where a lot of people, like the general population, struggle with their quote unquote bodybuilding journey. Because I think anyone that goes to the gym regularly, like, you're trying to build your body, like you are a bodybuilder, I would say, struggle as well, because the whole time management thing comes into play a lot more. I think it's a lot more, you know, what you're going to prioritize. I know I sent you that video on Instagram the other day where the guy was like, if you want to be serious about bodybuilding, if you want to be serious bodybuilding, you got to quit your job and like all this sort of stuff.
Did you see any comments on that?
No, I don't know how I came across it, but I was just like looking at that and I'm like, this guy's putting information out there saying if you want to be a serious lifter or a serious bodybuilder, you have to quit your job. And it's like, that's just ridiculous.
But he's 10 years old, isn't he?
Of course, but he will learn in like a couple of years' time that, you know, you can't. As much as you love bodybuilding or you think you love bodybuilding, your job is always going to have to take priority over that.
If it's not, then you're going to be you might be a fucking amazing bodybuilder, but you ain't got enough money to fly out to thing.
No, of course, you wouldn't have enough money to compete.
Yeah.
Like,
unless you have to do fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe, yeah.
Sorry, guys, I gave up my life to do bodybuilding.
But if that's what you want to do, then obviously there's nothing wrong with that. I think there should be more awareness. I use the word awareness for those people that are on a fitness journey who work 9 to 5s. And I think I've experienced through working with different online coaches where they can't. I think it's harder for them even to appreciate the fact where it's like, well, why did you not progress your lift here, or why was your food so low on this day, or why were your steps not? And it's like I'm been at work, like this happened today. I wasn't able to manipulate it that much. It's like, yeah, okay, could have maybe like you could have potentially still did what you were meant to do. Like, don't get me wrong, but
you don't want it.
You don't want it enough, basically.
It's luck, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all luck. But I think having an online coach that can or has been,
it's the empathy, isn't it?
Yeah, having that empathy side of it. I think we spoke about on a previous podcast about what makes a good like online coach. Empathy being a massive one. Having that understanding that, you know, not everyone's got it. Not everyone's setup is the same.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? When it comes to coaching, is like you may have. This is why some people with the best physiques, they may not necessarily be the best coach for you, because yes, although they know how to build muscle and they've done it themselves, but they only know how to do it to themselves and people similar to themselves. But if you are just a regular individual, a lot of people fail to know those soft skills of coaching. And that's why, when I have the mentorship that I did, I was that person before. I was exactly that coach that didn't know, the empathy side. I was like, young, like living alone, abroad, working in a gym. I was just like, to all my clients, I was like, why? Who were making bare money, like these like proper CEOs, a lot of people business. Trained one guy who was the the head of Asia for Facebook, right? I just remember I was so young, and I was just like, so why are you missing your meals?
Literally.
And it's just like there was absolutely zero empathy for me. But until I learned that, those are things that I had to learn. I had to go to do courses. I had to learn from other people. I had to spend time with people and speak to like normal people outside of the fitness bubble to really actually then understand these soft skills of coaching. And when I got that, that was when I started.
Changer.
Yeah, that's when I started to make like tons. And then it's not just learning that empathy, but learning the strategy. Like what do I need to tell this person? And it's going to be completely unconventional. It's going to be random shit, right? Things that you just think, why is this person giving them this program, right? Or why is this person telling them to do this with their nutrition? And it's completely out of the blue, right? But it's what this person needs to allow them to then progress. And that's kind of what I coach now in terms of my program. Is like people need to, like, there's a lot of bodybuilders out there who they have a great physique and they have tons of potential to get like really incredible transformations with people, right? But they don't have the empathy side because they are robotic and they only know how to coach one way.
Similar to them.
And that's fine if you just coach bodybuilders. But if you're actually coaching normal people, which most people are, you're in trouble. And this is why, there's a lot of people that are struggling to get help.
I guess that's why then, from my experience with people as well, it's like that. Especially when it comes to food. I think training you can kind of get away with. But when it comes to food and stuff, I think that's where people miss.
Even training, it needs to be smart.
It has to be smart, but I think it's easier to get away with, if that makes sense. So you could send someone a generic...
But there's people doing all this like banded stuff, right? All these like resistance, do this to set up your exercise. It's like, mate, I'm 6 a.m. in the morning, bruv. I need to get to work. I ain't got 10, 20 minutes to set up this band, how to do it this way. Do you know what I mean? Especially if someone doesn't know that.
I remember when I was prepping, one day I had to train before work. Like, I had to do cardio, then train before work, and it was just so happened it was deadlifts. Like, I remember trying to, like, literally 25 minutes ago, I was in bed. And now I've got 4 plates on the bar.
6 cans of Monsters down you.
Oh, don't even get me started. But like, and it's like, you're just not going to be able to perform. 25 minutes ago, I was asleep. And now I've got 4 plates on the bar, warming up, like trying to get up to like what it was, 240, 260 or whatever. And it's like, you're just not in the right frame of mind, the rhythm and the mindset, like to be able to do that.
If you wake up that early, you can't, when you wake up, you can't even squeeze your fist.
Yeah, literally.
And you're just like, well, I've got to rip this 180 off the ground, you know what I mean?
Like, it's just not optimal. Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said for people that go far with training or any aspect, whatever it is, hydrox, CrossFit, whatever, when you're at a job where you have to be somewhere at set times. I think there's a lot to be said for people that do well in.
Do you think it's more of a comparison then between being employed versus...
Yeah, I think, But I don't know, though, because like if you employed me, for example, then I guess my time would still be more flexible.
I think that will make your life a lot easier. Like in terms of you probably... Because then you get the aspects of the online life without having to do all the rest, right? But then I would probably just make you do tons of shit. So then I would get more free time.
Yeah, well, no, but it'd be a win, but it would be like a win-win from a training point of view. Not maybe like not financially, for example, but from a training point of view, that would be way beneficial. The best, I always say when you speak to people about like training stuff, I always say the best time I had at training was when I was at uni.
Yeah, man.
It's because you had the most time.
I loved it.
That's why I made the most progress.
I was an athlete at uni.
Yeah, that's where I made the most progress.
I was an athlete at uni.
100%.
I played American football We had 2 sessions of American football, 1 classroom session as well. So 3 sessions. And I was training in between those days. I was sleeping. Mate, playing Call of Duty, I was recovering. I was recovering as well. I was training like loads.
But that's why, again made a lot of progress in terms of my physique development during COVID.
Yeah.
Because luckily was fortunate enough to have access to pretty much everything for that year and a half, 2 years. And I didn't have to go to work.
I think I made a lot of progress as well during COVID.
Made massive amounts of progress.
Which is why I decided to
look back at some of those videos, and even like the 2-3 people that I was training with regularly, honestly, that's the strongest and biggest they've ever been. But it's because you didn't have to do anything else. All you had to do was just train. We'd train at the same time every single day, eat the same meals, sleep, recover. Like you said, play Warzone.
Yeah.
It's great.
You know, we were talking about the 6.5 plate hacks, right? I swear, some of that strength is definitely built from me doing those banded fridge squats.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, man. A 6 plate hack was nothing compared to that fridge squat.
Oh, wow.
Mate, that fridge squat, do you know, I delayed that.
If you want quads, get on the fridge squat.
Banded, heels elevated fridge squats.
Some of your training in lockdown was crazy.
Yeah, those fridge squats, like I dreaded doing legs because it was just really difficult to set up the exercises.
Yeah,
it was long, and those squats on the fridge were just so. It was like everything that you were thinking, like you could be complaining in your head doing. You're like, fucking hell, I've got to hold these 55 kilo dumbbells in my hands. My hands are hurting, and then I've got to elevate my heels. I've got to put this band around my neck, and because I've got 2 bands right on it, I've got these thick green bands. They're like fucking
twanging down.
Yeah, and you're in this narrow gap, this fucking fridge. I'm trying to slide up and down. Yeah, in my head, every moment I got, it was just like, I want to give up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It comes back to that point you said about where it's like the best online coach for you. Because like you said, most people, their dreams or what they want to achieve from an online coaching journey isn't stepping on stage. It's being in the best shape possible for them. And that's what, like, if you're, like you said, not in that environment, it can be really difficult to understand what that person is actually going through and why they might not be performing as well as you would want them to. So, I don't know, I think lifting whilst being employed, I do think it is a bit hard. And again, that doesn't take anything away from people that are doing great things, obviously, with their business and things like that, but that flexibility that you can have.
Yeah, I mean, even personal training, when I was doing one-to-one, it was really hard, you know. Because
I can imagine, yeah.
You would, let's say if you're doing eight sessions a day, you're working at peak time, so you have to be in there for like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever. You have to work in the evening. And, you know, there's gaps in the day. Although, yeah, it may seem like you've got tons of free time to train whenever you want to, you work in a gym, you're going to have gaps in your day. So it's probably like from 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock all the way to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're probably going to be training clients in that first block. And yeah, you might have a gap, like an hour gap here and there, but you're going to have to do follow-ups with your clients in that gap. Or you can't train because the gym's really busy. Like if you're working in a studio, you're not allowed to go in there to train, right? Because the gym floor is busy at those times. So you can't train. The only time that you can train is between that 1 to 3 o'clock, right? Where it's kind of off peak. But then if you have a client that comes in there, you can't train again, or you don't have the time to go to a different gym to train. So, and you're on your feet all day. So then you're in the gym, you don't really feel like you want to train as well. You wake up fucking early to get into work because it takes you it took me an hour to get into central London to get to my first client. I couldn't even get, like, the first train was like 6 something. So I couldn't even get in for 6 o'clock, right? And then in the evening, again, you're looking at another hour to come home. So there's like your day is super long as a coach. And you work Saturdays as well.
Yep.
Right?
I think, again, my Saturday session is always my best session of the week.
That's what I mean. So,
and normally by Friday, 7 o'clock, I'm asleep, knackered, knocked out.
But a lot of people think like personal trainers, like it's really easy for them to get in shape as well. I think it is in terms of the environment, but
but sometimes I've known people that being in the environment all the time, that makes it even more difficult because you're just at work in your head all the time.
You don't see daylight, bro.
You don't see daylight. You don't see anything different. And then it's like when you're on your break, the last thing you actually want to do is train.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think being employed is definitely difficult. So if anyone wants to free me from employment, let me know.
How would you usually go about managing your kind of your meals, your scheduling around like
I
living
think
a job?
For me personally, I think it's quite that was one of the easier aspects of it. Because if you're quite organised,
You have to be, don't you?
You have to be. So I can remember even being like, you just make the meals for 3 days at a time because it's just easier. Label, put them in the fridge, label.
Is that
them.
what you did?
Yeah. I guess when you're prepping, it's even easier because you're just eating the same food anyway.
Yeah. I always did it in the evening. So I'd come home
Yeah,
from
I'll
work,
do it, yeah.
bang it out, and then leave it there. So then tomorrow morning I've got it. But every day you have to come back.
But I'll just do it like that because it's just easy. Or I guess when I'm dieting, I guess one of the easiest things that you can do is just eat foods that have barcodes on. And then you got
certain times where can you leave the school to get some food?
You can at lunchtime and break time if you wanted to, you could. Or if you haven't got a lesson, for example,
Right,
then you could go and get something.
How often do you not have a lesson?
You might.
It's like you go in every day, you know that pretty much the whole day you've got lessons.
I mean, it depends on your responsibility. If you're a main pay scale teacher, then you would probably have like maybe 1 free period every other day or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Shit, so it's quite a lot.
It's a lot. And then the more responsibility you have in the school, you
then, like,
can't leave the site. It's impossible.
I think kids get detention or whatever, so you have to kind of, if you want to put them in trouble, like if they're in trouble, like, you're going to hold them back, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to eat away into your time.
Eats into your time.
I can understand why
so it's
teachers
like,
used to get pissed off with me.
Yeah,
now.
of course, definitely. I think teaching, I think, was one of them in terms of eating. It was always like, I'm just going to eat on the bell. So you eat at the start of the day, break time, lunchtime, end of the day, go
when
train.
the kids are coming into the classroom, you can have a quick bite. Could you do that?
No.
Like a quick protein bar. What if like in between periods, like
if you're just walking to your next lesson or something, then you might be able to like, obviously being a PE teacher, you just quickly go in the PE office and eat something.
Or as you're walking, you can just have a protein bar.
Like, yeah,
that's why you have so many grenades.
Yeah, so many grenades. Grenade and Belvita.
Could you do
Squares
protein
bars.
shake? Could you drink a protein shake if?
That would be alright. I think I've done that. It's just a drink, isn't it? Like water.
Or if let's say if you're doing a lesson, because what happened was, let's say the teacher was sitting down and you get to do some work, right? Can you eat then, like a banana or from fruit? Or is it kind of frowned upon?
I guess it's frowned upon because obviously, if a kid then turns around and starts eating, what are you going to say? So you're eating, and the kids. You don't want the kids eating in your lesson.
That's true, isn't it?
So then you turn around to the kids and say, "I'll just say, don't do as I do, do as I say."
And they're cool with it. I suppose PE teachers is more chilled, isn't it? Like, you guys are on a different level, you think?
No, not necessarily. Because you want to be, especially if you've got responsibility in the school, you want to be shown to uphold that standard.
Yeah, I feel like we had loads of banter with our PE teachers, and
yeah,
they were like a bit more, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is. I think it is. But then you don't want to abuse that.
Yeah, because it's a fine line, right? They don't want them to be too pally with you.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I'm up here.
Yeah, I'm number one.
You know,
I say I'm the boss.
Knock them down a bit.
No, so yeah, I think managing food from that point of view is obviously it's difficult as well because you could plan when you're on prep. Like I was saying, if anyone's on prep, when you plan to eat something at a certain time, and then something happens. And you can't. You're just like twitching. You're like, oh my god, I need to go back and eat this, like sort of thing. So, because there's so many variables that could happen, you could have anything that could come up and interrupt that. And I guess that's the same if you're in retail or anything like wherever you're working. There can always be something that's gonna interfere with that. I mean, even you like working at home, for example, you might plan to do something at a certain time, then get a call booked in, and then obviously because it's your business, you're not gonna say no because you want to have that call with that person, try and sign them up or whatever. So, I just think. Being able to manage time in any aspect of a bodybuilding journey is
really,
important.
really important, right?
Like I said, training at 6 o'clock is not ideal. And when you're sat in the car park and it's like, oh, I need to get myself hyped up for this.
Are you?
And then I know, speaking again about myself, but people that I train with and stuff as well who are employed and have normal jobs. When you're double scooping pre-workout at 6 o'clock at night, man, it's not good.
So are you more like evening or morning trainer? Like
I love training in 1 o'clock time.
Afternoon.
Yeah, if I can.
But then let's say if you're working,
if I'm working, it's 6 o'clock.
In the morning always?
No.
In the evening?
In the evening, yeah.
Okay.
Never, I can't train before.
No? I think some people do, right?
A lot of people do, but then again, like we
That's
said,
a mad.
I don't see anyone lifting anything serious at 6 o'clock.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's yeah. Unless you're waking up at whatever time, you got to think about how much during the daytime you've moved around more. You're a bit looser. Like I said,
True.
Waking up half an hour ago, then staring down at a 5-plate deadlift that you got to do for like however many reps is not fun, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I think if you're struggling to train though, and like I think it's better to do it in the morning, 6 a.m. versus 6 p.m.
Yeah, if you don't want to go to the gym, then doing it in the morning, I think would be more beneficial because it's done.
Yeah, that Friday night that comes down, man. 6
then you're done.
You're done, man.
And that's why doing like I used to enjoy actually doing cardio before work, like doing like an hour on the stairs or whatever, 45 minutes, because then you kind of got the blood pumping. But then you get that I'd always get the 2 o'clock. When it comes to 2 o'clock, tired.
Definitely.
Then knowing that you got to go back and do it all again in 4 hours time or whatever is.
I don't know.
Mentally, it is tough. It's really tough.
I don't know how we did it at PT, man. Like when I was doing one-to-one PT, like we'll wake up like 5-6 o'clock to get into work, right? Then you're training clients on the gym floor, like you're standing there constantly.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You have to, and if you're doing it properly, you actually have to be like awake, give energy out, right?
Mm.
And then the only chance that you have is that afternoon, like 1-3 o'clock. But by that point, you're actually tired.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can remember, like I said, being on prep, and when it was like time to do like 15,000 steps, for example. I mean, I would just find myself wandering around the school, just walking,
really,
for the sake of walking.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, now
you walk your way into the canteen.
Yeah. No, but like you'll be like, oh shit, I've walked out and I've stumbled across like this kid doing that. Now you're like, oh, now I got to deal with this. Like it's going to impact my steps or like something. So, but I used to sometimes I'd go into the fitness suite and just walk on the treadmill.
Oh, right, yeah. So then you don't see anything, right?
Yeah, you don't see anything, yeah. And then I'll be like on my phone, like replying to emails, and they'll be like, where are you? I'm like, just on the treadmill walking.
We need you here.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
backup. We need backup.
Yeah, we have the radios and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that is the thing, innit? Like now I think back in school, I'm like, shit, I wish I wasn't such a dickhead because
it's cool. It's all right.
It's like stressful, right? It's like it's hard. Like people want to
but there's a lot of jobs that are stressful. I think you can talk about stress and say, does stress like really exist? If you just block everything out, is it?
Well, if you don't care about anything,
of course not. But then it's just a job, isn't it? At the end of the day. Yeah. So trying to manage it, and it's like, especially when you're competing or doing whatever, it's like trying to manage you're like, right, it's just a job. It's just a job. It doesn't matter. Like this, unless it's like a child's in danger, you're like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just deal with it whenever. But I always look at obviously Joe Brightman documented his turning.
He was at John Lewis before.
He was working at John Lewis, and then he turned IFBB Pro. And like, someone like him, he talked about he was doing the same thing, waking up, going to the gym before work, then doing whatever he was doing in the daytime, then travelling to the gym, then changing, doing it all again, getting home, making his meals, going to bed at like 11, 12 o'clock, then getting up at 6 o'clock the next day.
It's luck, innit?
Like,
but do you think
graft
must be easier for him now, right?
Well, I wouldn't be able to answer that, but I would assume he has a better balance between training and working now than what he did
maybe
previously.
But when you're working for someone, is that it's slightly different than working for yourself, right? Because yes, although you have to be certain places and the demands are the stresses that you need to cater for this person, whoever your boss is, right? But when you are your own boss, again, it's a different kind of stress, right?
Yeah, different kind of stress.
So it's I don't know if it's actually easier for him or not.
Would you ever feel like, if I take this 2 hours out to go and train, then it's 2 hours that I could be working on my business?
All the time. And that's probably why sometimes I end up training really late.
Yeah.
Because I get everything done before I'm like, oh, shit,
Yeah, but do you not in your day block out to... Yeah, but your sleep schedule is crazy.
Yeah.
But like, do you not? Okay, then let me change it. Do you not think that you'd benefit more from blocking out 2 hours in the daytime, where it's like this is dedicated time to training? Because if you're going to go and train at 10 o'clock anyway, you could have just done your work at 10 o'clock, if that makes sense.
But sometimes, this problem is like when you are doing stuff, sometimes you are creative. You don't know when you're going to be creative,
it's true,
right?
yeah,
Especially with creative work. Like sometimes you just have things that you spark your interest in that moment.
If you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
And you just go boom, and you just do it. So like for me, I was creating a lead magnet yesterday, right? And somebody just had like spoke to me about something, and it was just like boom, did everything. But it just I had to do it in that moment because I knew that if I didn't do it, that that vibe would have gone, and it wouldn't have been the same. So I think sometimes it's difficult, but for me, like when I'm creative, like it comes in like these waves.
I guess.
And then when it's there, I need to capitalize on it.
Because some people do that, don't they? They're like, right, I wake up at 6, I do my check-ins or whatever till 10, then I have meal 1, then go do some steps. Like, but I guess that is, for me, I don't know if that would be like too organised.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I guess in a way.
Because I think we all like flexibility to some extent.
I think when it's too flexible, that's when, like myself, I feel like I'm a little bit too flexible, which then it leaves it too open, right? And then you leave it at the end of the day, and then you don't end up doing it. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely trying to get some sort of schedule in, but when you'll find out when you have the baby, sometimes baby calls, and you're like, let's say if you do, like I do plan for things earlier, but then like it's like shit. Nah, actually, baby's like, let's say if you need to leave at this time, and then baby's done shit and it's touching her hair. You gotta clean that up, you know what I mean? And it happens, right? But if you didn't leave in that moment, you've lost your opportunity to kind of go. Yeah. Because now my wife needs me to help her out with the baby. I need to do this stuff. But when the baby was asleep, I needed to go in that moment. But in that moment, I had to reply to something, so it becomes complicated there. But yeah, there's definitely obviously... I think that's the thing with business is and I'm that person where I can't just turn a blind eye with something. If I've read it, like I'm sure a lot of people are the same when it comes to reading emails or reading replies. You have your WhatsApp open and the client says something to you that you're like, shit, I need to reply to this. And then all of a sudden you're like 2-3 hours, like 2 hours gone.
I guess that's where being employed to an extent does help because it's like once I'm... If you have a job, like...
You can check out.
Even like for me, I know I said earlier about being on the phone and stuff, but if I didn't want to, I could just be like, I'm done now for the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can check out when it comes to being employed, right? Because it's not your baby, it's not your thing. It doesn't really affect you too much.
Yeah, like I said, unless it's life or death, whatever.
It's no
I'll respond to that email when I feel like it.
That's what I mean. I think that's the difference, right?
Whereas if you're not like you are, but if you're trying to... Well, you are in a sense, but trying to grow your business stuff, you want to reply like as soon as possible. You want to give a good response, so let me maybe think about what I'm going to write. It's like, it's not really yours, is it? It's like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, that's it. I think that's what a lot of business owners struggle with in terms of employing people as well.
Yeah, it's a trust, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's like, this person may potentially they're not going to do it and respect it in the same way that you are, right? And that's just a part of life, right? You can't expect people to do that. You're not going to go above and beyond that. What you're going to do because it's your business, right? It's how you see it. But anyway, that's obviously another story. But yeah, the GOAT, man, Ronnie Coleman. We didn't even mention it.
Yeah, he was
the man.
A job, yeah,
he did bodybuilding with a job.
Yeah,
I don't know any other bodybuilders done bodybuilding with a job. Do you know anyone else? Say a job.
Well, he was a police officer.
A lot of people were non-fitness related.
Yeah,
job.
non-fitness related job.
Yeah, he was a police officer.
I don't know, because when you get to that level, then you just kind of do it full time, don't you?
Yeah. Samson was doing a job before. So when he was he just turned pro, or maybe before, he was doing like, I don't know what he's doing, carpentry or something like that. I remember he was when I was helping him with posing coaching, he was still doing carpentry and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
He was the most famous, right?
Maybe more back in the day, but not so much now. Everyone's an influencer.
That's it. People get money through sponsorships, right?
Yeah.
And it just goes through full time. Maybe they have their own little businesses in terms of, I say little businesses. They do like supplement companies and whatnot. But in terms of being employed by someone,
for sure.
Maybe not. I don't know.
It's interesting.
That's very interesting. So what piece of advice would you give to somebody who's bodybuilding with a 9 to 5, employed? I don't know.
Employed? I guess organised. It's always going to come down to time management, isn't it? and being organised.
Definitely. Structure.
But also just accepting the fact that when you are training, not every session is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
But then it's taking a step back and understanding why, what's happened today where it's not been. And when it is good, identifying, well, what was better today.
Can you change that, right, yourself? Like, let's say if
there's things in there that you can.
Could I improve my scheduling? Could I
For sure. But it's like, okay, well, on this day, I had a really good session, but I had my meals prepared. I ate them like relatively decent times. I was hydrated. Stress was lower that day. Whereas when it is bad, just being able to step back and like identify it's not necessarily
it's not all luck.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a you thing. It's things happen, and then you just have to do the best that you can with that, and still, you know, showing up and giving your best is still be better than shying away and not doing anything at all.
Yeah. I think for business owners, people who are maybe not employed by someone else, they need to set boundaries out a little bit. That's going to be the biggest thing. Have set times where you're going to do certain things for yourself. Otherwise, it can lead you down a very different route. But yeah, I hope you found this discussion interesting. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, feel free to leave a review on iTunes and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you have any future topics that you want us to cover, you can find me at Gym with Him on Instagram, and my co-host is at Archie13 with 2 E's. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you all in the next one. Okay, thank you. No, because you guys got a job. Save off a job.
Yeah. Should have said, it helps with mortgages if you're employed.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
No, of course it does, massively.
Because even if I...
What's your missus do for work?
She's a PA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's employed?
She's employed, yeah. Chinese PA. That's why my daughter's a Chinese VA.
Yeah, funny.
But yeah, and I'm a Chinese PT.